Hi guys, you are live with Ali and Reese for another thrilling instalment of We Are the Girls in Claret and Blue. Quick rundown of today's show. We're going to go through the epic win against Reading in the Conti Cup last Sunday. We're going to preview the upcoming Man City game in 2 weeks' time, as well as look at the England game that's happening this Saturday at Wembley against Germany, a big rivalry there, and other bits and pieces. So, Reese, I'm going to let you start.
So, Ali, obviously I missed the Reading game, so I'm going to ask Ali a few questions. Ali, in the preview to this show, we were speaking about our formation and our system of play. However, there was one player we highlighted, Alicia Lehmann. Obviously, she scored the goal, so I'd be interested your opinion on her game, and whether you think Kiernan really impacted Lehmann's performance as well.
Definitely. I mean, Alicia, to be fair, was having a good game in general on Sunday. She was not quite up to her best, but she was definitely better than we've seen her for the last few weeks. But as soon as Leanne came on, that's when Alicia came alive. Leanne had the pace to feed the ball into Alicia so she could get around the defenders. If you say it's a cracking team goal, if you haven't seen the goal on Sunday. And Alicia definitely came into her own, which we haven't seen for a while. So very excited about that. But just the whole team performance was fantastic. I know there was a lot of change with the fact that Jilly was out with a planned break because she's had some leg issues. And obviously Martha having a slight issue as well, which meant that we were out our Bonfire striker. But the whole team came together and overcame those what could have been potentially very huge not inconveniences, but it could have been a very big issue for them to have, and it was just a fantastic game.
Your main worry going ahead to this game, as well as mine, Ali, was Reading's use of set pieces. How did we manage with that?
It was actually quite funny because where we were sat actually surrounded by Reading fans, and there was a little family the other side of us, and we were saying to them that was our biggest concern. So every time Reading got a free kick, the dad was like, "Oh, set piece, here we go," which was a lot of fun. But we actually dealt with them quite well. Again, you've got to highlight Brooke Hendricks, who was the absolute rock of our back line. With Jilly being out, it definitely fell on Brooke's shoulders to keep that back line and also keep in communication with Anna. And again, she used her height well because obviously you need that height in the box. She was coming forward when we had set pieces, but to be honest, Reading were just a very physical team. They didn't seem to have many tactics skills-wise. It was definitely a case of see how many players we can knock over.
Looking onto that Reading performance, obviously we've got Man City in the next game. There was quite a few changes in the lineup. Do you think anybody that came into the team from Reading has stole a place for the team in the Man City game?
I wouldn't keep Kate in the back for a start. I do think that once Billy's back, we can move her back to midfield because I thought she was fantastic as captain. I thought she led the team really well, and I jokingly told Jilly on Sunday that she better watch out because Kate's going to be fighting her for the armband. But you can see where her midfield tendencies were. And as much as she tried to stay on that back line, she kept creeping forward and kept almost as a winger, but not quite. And we were all saying when we were sitting there that she's definitely a midfielder, and putting her in the back line was not, I mean, it was out of necessity, I suppose, but it was definitely not her natural position. Going forward, maybe I'd have Leanne start because, again, she brought the best out of Alicia. And again, I'd have maybe Midag start over Cho because Cho didn't have the best game and ended up getting very frustrated. And again, I said it was a physical game. Both Reading and us were going for it. and it did end up with a lot of needless fouls, and we were very lucky to get away with as few yellow cards as we did.
Obviously, Martha Thomas was injured for that game, missed her Scotland call up now. How did the front line deal with that? Because against Chelsea, we were saying our only attacking flair was coming from Martha. However, clearly, the girls that started really seemed to bond in fruition with attack.
Again, Leon, we've talked about Leon before, about her being our best player for a long time, and she definitely was on the pitch. I remember those cries of what when Matt subbed her. We didn't quite get why he was doing that, but she again got into space. She was again pacing. She outpaced Farah, which was quite an interesting matchup between the two of them. And we were unlucky not to score in the first half. I honestly think, I know it's a biased opinion, but I honestly think we were the better team from the offset. We had a bit of a shaky start, but then we got into it and we outplayed Reading very easily. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so Leon was definitely the best player by far going into that first half. We were very unlucky to not score then. Dali, again, playing that brilliant position of playing that sort of number 10 role. And in fact, she fed the ball through but to both Alicia and Leon, and took a real leadership role when Kate was further back. She was bossing that midfield, and we definitely missed her when we got called off. But then again, Midag stepped up even further. I'm so impressed with how Midag has come from having a year out from a really bad injury to how she's playing for us in midfield.
And obviously, we made a big statement at Brighton, but I personally think beating Reading away from home is an even bigger one from us now.
Oh, absolutely. It was a must-win game. We said that last week. If we wanted any hope of keeping our Conti Cup progression alive, we had to beat Reading, and I thought we beat them very convincingly. We started very well as a team. It was actually quite funny. At the end of the first half, the ball went out for our corner, and then the ref called for half-time. And I'm surprised half of our team didn't get booked for dissent, because Kate was surrounding him, Brooke was surrounding him, Dali was surrounding him, Vetterli was surrounding him, Ben Kemi was surrounding him, being like, what are you doing? We could have scored. Why have you called for half-time when we've just been given a corner? Leon was surrounding him. I'm surprised we didn't end up with more bookings for dissent at the end of that first half. But it was just that coming together and that will to and want to win. And that's where I think, I don't know if Reading had seen our previous form and thought we were going to be a walkover and that they didn't play as hard, but I'm hoping they didn't, because they should have learned from last season that we're not.
Talking about away performances now, we seem to do really well away from home, and my main worry personally this season has been our home form. I think the next step in progression for this team is putting these away performances like the ones against Brighton and Reading, and even the Arsenal game that we lost, into performances at the Rush Green Stadium.
Yeah, that seems to be a big problem, is our home form. I don't know if we think, we've got the advantage, so we play less. Well, I don't know what it is, because you'd think your home form would be the one that you could count on. I honestly don't know what we can do to up it. Maybe treat everything as like an away game, you know. I honestly don't know. It's maybe treated that you want it to be, because there's more pressure away. So maybe we should take that pressure at home, but we're not doing as great at home. We're letting little things sink in and niggle, like with the Chelsea game last week, in the fact that we were on top of them for 60 minutes. We pressurised them, we'd got the goal, and we were on top to get a win from them, and then we let it slip 60 odd minutes in and ended up conceding 3 in a very short space of time, which was frustrating more than anything. But I wouldn't see us doing that at Kingsmeadow, so I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe it's they're laxing in the fact that they know they've got the majority of the support, and that makes it easier to play, and therefore little mistakes will happen because they're laxing. Whereas there was a few of us dotted around, but I could see about 6 or 7 of us West Ham fans. I think there was a couple on either end, but I'd say if there was more than 20, 25 West Ham fans throughout the stadium, to be fair, the attendance was quite low on Sunday. I would think so. We tried to make up for it, and you could see that the players were battling on against the home crowd. So maybe they need to treat it that way. I honestly don't know.
Looking at obviously the Conti Cup now, I think we've got Lewis at home and Crystal Palace now. So that puts us also in a really strong position to be able to progress.
Yeah, no, I was talking about this with the guys on Sunday, and the fact that we've played our hardest games and our opponents have got to play each other, which can only go into our favour. Like, I'm pretty sure. Have Reading played Chelsea yet? I'm not sure that they have.
I don't think they have, and I'm not too sure if Tottenham have either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think now. Tottenham might have done, but I don't know if... I don't think Reading and Chelsea have, so that's, a good start. And we were in a strongest position. Though, if you look at Lewis playing Chelsea on Sunday, they're not to be counted as an easy game, because they went down 1-0, and then their New Zealand superstar, Katie Rood, came back with an absolute flyer of a goal. And it took a very long time for Chelsea to break that defence again in the second half to come back and win it 2-1. So that's got to be something we've got to look out for, because it's not just set pieces we need to be careful of. It's the fact that outside the box goals, we need to be able to defend and defend well. And that's where I'm hoping Brooke has cemented her place in the first team as a defender, because we're going to need her height. And I think her partnership with Gilly is just something that's very hard to replicate.
I've just checked the fixtures while you was speaking, Ali, and we'll both be pleased to read that both Tottenham and Reading have Chelsea at Kings Meadow. So,
hey, I don't know how I feel about
that. This really does now put us in a strong position. But the home form, as you've mentioned, Lewis, it's going to be a really interesting game, because we've not been great at home, and I'm pretty sure Lewis also nearly nicked a win away at the Majewski to Reading but Reading just about 1-3-2.
Yeah. So we can't count them out just because they're in a lower league. Somebody pointed out recently that there's not that much difference between the bottom of our league and the top of the Championship. And so we need to make sure we're aware of that. I know Crystal Palace are a really strong side and have some cracking players. So we can't discount it. But we are in a stronger position, I'd say, than our closest rivals in Reading and Tottenham.
Now going on to the Manchester City game. Obviously, it's probably your favourite game of the season.
It's the easiest one of them all.
It's the most local for you, Ali. But looking on to our Reading performance, what would you be looking to build on for this Man City game?
So definitely we've got our defence. If we're going to beat Man City, it's not going to be a pretty game. Not going to lie, it's going to be one that we grind out the result. Our defence has got to be ironclad. So that's when you have to maybe not have Matt play around with the defence line as much. I would definitely have Brooke and Gilly, and probably have Vettelin in the back there, and maybe Baunch, just to have that strong element. It's going to be won and lost in the midfield. Before I get yelled at again, yes, I'm aware Man City have Caroline Weir, and again, she's got an absolute phenomenal goal. I will get yelled at. He will message me. In against Birmingham, but that is where City are going to have a weak link, is their midfield. You saw it against Atletico And they even had Kira Walsh in that game, but you saw it when they played Atletico, and I saw it in their home leg against Atletico. That midfield is where they lose it, and that's where we're going to come alive, in the fact that we've got Midak, we've got Cho, we've got Dali to play in those, we've got Longhurst. And yeah, hopefully Thomas will be back. But if not, we have to start Leon. And I would say Leon over Alicia.
With this Man City game as well, it's a really weird dynamic. Because I don't know about you, Ali, but I feel more confident about playing Manchester City away right now than I do at Rush Green.
Oh yeah, because A, our home film has been awful, and B, we seem to bring it with the bigger teams away from home. I mean, I know we've lost them, but if you look at our game against Chelsea in the first Conti Cup game, we were absolutely fantastic, and it took a real chisel for them down to get the goals against us. And to be honest, one of them was a Beth England, I think it's Beth England, but no one was going to stop. And it's the same again with Arsenal, in the fact that it was another Beth in Beth Mead. Again, was a flying goal, but nobody is going to be able to stop. And then we pulled ourselves back and we pulled ourselves together. And with the Arsenal one, we got a goal back and we looked like we were going to rattle them and score another to make it a draw. So I am confident going into the Man City game. We've just got to play that. It's going to be an ugly game. It's not going to be a pretty, the Brighton game was pretty in the fact that it was lots of nice touches and it was lots of set pieces and linked play. It's not going to be like that against Man City. It's going to be a lot of booting the ball up the pitch and hoping for the best. And then it's going to be, a scrappy goal where we managed to get it past Steph to go past Ellie. It's not going to be pretty, but I do think we could do it.
So obviously you're quite optimistic with this Man City game. What do you fear the most about Manchester City going into this game?
Well, the first time we played them at the Etihad, we lost 7-1.
Thanks.
That was not a fun day. That was not a fun day. I did, however, get a lot of sympathy pints from my Man City friends who felt very sorry for me, and they took me to a Man City pub and they bought me many sympathy pints. So that was a good thing that came out of that game. They still have world-class players, and I think it's going to be the same problem that we had against Chelsea, in the fact that they have world-class players to bring off the bench, which we don't. Dear.
As you just mentioned, Man City do have some great international talents, and it's also a great game if any West Ham fans can get to, because their players are full of lionesses, which is also a great advert on women's football there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to give people a thing, if any of our English fans who are watching this as well and are making the trip up to Manchester, a group of us have already agreed that we're going to be sitting in E6, E5 in the Etihad. So we're going to try and get as many West Ham fans together in a group so that we can outshout the Manchester City OSC and all the other fans. We did it at Reading, I'm just saying. If you listen to the highlights of the Reading game, you can hear us, and there's 3.
Yeah, and I know all 3, so I know.
You do know all 3. And my poor missus was just like, nope, not with me, nope, not even. But it got noticed by the club, and I got a very nice message off of the kit man who said that it was very much appreciated and very noticed by the girls. So that made it worth it. So if anybody is coming to the Man City game, please try and get into E6, E5, because that's where we're all going to be, and we've got to make as much noise as possible.
You've mentioned the atmosphere as well, Ali, and I always remember the first time we played Manchester City at home. I was sitting with some Manchester City fans, and boy, did they make some noise.
Oh yes, the OSC have a song for every player, and they have a drum, and the amount of times I've wanted to perforate that drum.
I was going to say that drum wasn't my favourite, thing on the day.
The amount of people that have gone to me, I'll give you 50 quid to burst it. I'll give you so and so to burst it. I would never do that. That is criminal damage, but
Well, you could have been a millionaire by now, Ali, probably, but.
yeah, I do think that the Man City is going to be one of our toughest tests. I think we can do it. I do think it's going to be, like I said, it's not going to be a pretty game, but I do think we can do it. We've got a lot of subs, like some proper players now, and they seem to be getting into their rhythm. And I don't know if anybody else noticed, we've randomly signed a new player.
Yes.
And I've been doing a little bit of research on her, and Little John has got some pedigree. She's been mainly playing in the Scottish leagues, but it's one of these things where it's like 45 appearances, 54 goals scored. 16 appearances, 21 goals scored. She's an out-and-out striker, absolutely out-and-out striker, and I'm very excited to see what she can do.
See, the thing with that is, now you've mentioned that she's a striker and you've done some research, is this Martha Thomas injury going to be a long-term one then, or is it just adding to the squad?
I honestly think it's just adding to the squad. For a couple of games in the beginning of this season, and a lot of the time last season, we were 2 subs and a goalie. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where we were like, Morehouse can go in like main play, never mind going in between the sticks. So I do think it's about building up a squad that we haven't had. She's a free agent, so we could sign her later on in the season. Like I said, she's got a good pedigree. She's also a Republic of Ireland international, which makes me think that Leanne and Courtney might have been a bit over the last international to get her to come over and sign for us. She has got some experience in the fact that she has played for both Arsenal and Chelsea in the main league. So I am excited to see where she's going and what she's going to bring to the club.
It's also a great intent by the club as well, you know, to obviously we've had a very strong start to the season in terms of performances, I think, except from a few disappointing home games. But I think it's also a statement of intent that we're trying to build a squad here, maybe as well for the long term.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we are getting some like quality signings. I mean, not saying that our ones last year weren't, but we're getting some like names, like, you know who these people are, you know what they can do. I mean, it started with Darley this season and having Midag back fit, and then now with Little John, we're really bringing in, as my mother always says, they may play internationals, they're just not England internationals. But it is, and it's a great sign to see that the club are willing to bring in that sort of firepower.
Talking about, you know, the long-term ambition of the club, is also important to mention that we do have some really good young players as well that are going to come through with this team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we've seen a couple of them come through where they've come on as subs. We've got a couple of young 16-year-olds that have been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm hoping that we're going to keep giving them chances. This is what the Conti Cup's for. I know there's been a lot of conversation over certain managers, mainly Emma Hayes, who says that the Conti Cup is completely waste of time and that, you know, bring it down to the lower leagues. But I think we've got to use it like the men use the Caribou Cup. It's a chance to bring on young players, to give them a chance to play against world beaters. You know, we brought on our young 16-year-old and she got to go against Millie Bright. She got a chance to go against Kirby. She's got a chance to, you know, go against some world-class players. And that's an experience that no training can buy. So that's what you need to use the Conti Cup for.
While we're being like really praiseful of the club as well, I think one thing that's also, you know, I felt a lot this season is I think we're actually turning into a community club now as well, Ali.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm actually really excited by that. Like, you saw it a bit with the breast cancer shirts and stuff like that. And you often see, I mean, Julia Simic is the queen of this, in the fact that she will go down to the youth training sessions, and I've seen it before that they've been ball girls and she's gone to them, right, you're training Thursday, I'm coming Thursday. And then you'll see pictures and stuff like that with her giving them a masterclass while she's getting back from injury. And that just makes me excited.
Did you see the Julia Simic interview with Alicia after the game? I think
Oh,
Julia might have taken her in TV after her football career.
yes, and guys, if you haven't seen it, you've got to watch it, even if it's just for the brief Kate Longhurst cameo where they were talking about her and she was just like, nope.
Obviously
Nothing
now,
with the mash and pie video.
see, I spoke to Abbott about this, and it's really funny because I was so upbeat about it, and Abbott literally just said with a blank face, "I don't know why they've done it." And you know, Abbott, you don't know whether to take him seriously or not. So that was really funny.
It was hilarious because where we were sat, you were not that far from the dugout, and so Julia, Esme, and Ramona Backman walked past us, and then the West Ham fans behind me started going, mash and pie, and Julia looked up and was like, I'm never going to live this down, am I? And we were like, nope. But that's the spirit of West Ham fans.
Obviously, now going on to probably one of our favourite topics of yours and mine is England and our game at Wembley. Let's not mention the idiot in charge because I refuse to.
Yeah, no. That's the thing. Like, it's a huge opportunity. Like, to play in front of a sold-out Wembley crowd. It's against Germany, our old rivals, which is a huge thing. But you look at that squad, and I'm like, we're in for a pounding. We are. We ain't going to beat Germany with that squad.
I think, you know, going in after the World Cup, you know, you look at Phil Neville's interviews, and he's going on about really preparing for the Euros over the 2 years, the Olympics. But I'm getting to the point where I think that thought's gone straight out the water with that squad. I don't really get the selection.
That's the thing. Like, we've got nothing coming up that involves qualifiers. We automatically qualify for the Euros as the host nation. So is this not the time to bring in young, fresh players to see what they can do? Bring in your Chloe Kellys from Everton. You know, bring in your young players. I mean, Lauren James from Man United, as much as it pains me to...
I've been crying out for her to get in the England team, even from last year.
Yeah, she's got, as Casey said, she's got this talent that hasn't been seen in women's football for a very long time, and we should be utilising that passion and power, but we're not. And it is the same faces over and over again. And as much as I love my England girls, I do, things should have been learnt from the World Cup, and it doesn't seem to have been. It's definitely old favourites and not based on performance.
You've just mentioned, Dabali, this is one thing I really do like about Southgate, actually, that he does give young players a chance and he always merits performances, not who you play for. But with Phil Neville, I feel like he concentrates so much on who you play for rather than your performances. Because for me personally, like you just said, I would have had Chloe Kelly and Lauren James, and maybe even before, being a bit biased here, before Martha was called up for Scotland, I would have gave her a run out for England.
Yeah, she's technically not played for Scotland yet, so we still could. But even if you're not doing the youth aspect, if you need experience, you know, look at Kate, look at Jilly. Would you not want players like that instead of, you know, Jodie Taylor, who still can't hit a barn door from 9 paces for club nor country and still gets a call up?
I think, see, with this England game, obviously Czech Republic after that, I think maybe Phil Neville, because it's such a short time between the Olympics, I think maybe we're looking at that as if he doesn't succeed in the Olympics, he's gone. But my only trouble with that is if we don't get rid of him, if we lose to Germany and Czech Republic, I actually think we give him, the new manager, a backhander by giving him such short time, or her such short time to prepare.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The only added bonus I can say about this England game is the fact that half the squad are Man City players, so I'm hoping they're going to be knackered by the time that we play them on Sunday. Honestly, the only I'm going, but it's the only plus point I can get out of this game with the Lionesses.
But great credit as well to the FA, because they're showing a lot of investment in women's football, and to sell out Wembley, that's just such a massive statement. Not only in this country, but in world women's football for me.
Though, speaking of investment, I learned something on Sunday, which I was very excited to be, which is that they've brought over 9 out of the however many sponsors the men have got to sponsor the women. That Mr. Sullivan's been doing all sorts of deals and has basically been saying, right, come support my girls if you're supporting our boys. And that's why if you keep seeing all these images of Gilly holding up a different shirt with a different sponsor, that's what it is.
That also shows like we said earlier, an aspect of a community club there, because it's great to see. I mean, there was a thing I saw on Sky Sports News today. I think it was a youth project, and the fact that we had both our men and women players there with the community does show a great presence for the club as well.
Yep, absolutely. So, speaking of the club, they have announced their shortlist for October Player of the Month. The 3 nominees are Martha Thomas, Kezia Darley, and Brooke Hendricks. So I applaud you to vote. I know Reese already has. I haven't yet. But Reese, if you want to talk about your selection, and I'll go with mine.
Yeah, I voted for Brooke. I feel like at the start of the season, it didn't really look like Brooke was going to start this year, but she came in at fullback, and I think she's been absolutely magnificent from there. I feel like even in the games where the team's played for, she's been one of the only players to step up. And I feel like, in terms of nominations, I think Kenza, for me, I was debating between them two. Yeah. Kenza's been brilliant this month, and throughout her time at West Ham so far, Kenza has shown the strength and the quality of her being at the top class international.
Yep, no, absolutely. It is a tough decision for this month's player, but shock horror, I actually agree with Reese in the fact that I think Brooke is definitely our player of the month. She has been an absolute force in the back line. She saved our backsides countless times with these last-ditch tackles, and she's just learnt to do them with such precision that you cannot fault her. And she plays with such passion, and she loves the club, and the club loves her. And I just think, absolutely. Though, it was another close one for me and Darley, because Darley's been absolutely phenomenal in our midfield as well. And it was a tough decision, but I think I'm going to have to vote. My vote's going to go for Brooke.
With Brooke, do you think as well now she's maybe cemented her spot also at fullback? Because I think she's been brilliant there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know she got her starts because we've had a couple of injuries to our back line, but I'm hoping now that means that she's cemented her time full stop, because she's definitely been outstanding. And we went to pot when they took her off in the Chelsea game. So I'm hoping that Matt Beard is out there watching and learning and listening, and that's Brooke out there full time.
Learning from 2 fans on a fan channel.
Hey, of course, it's fine. We actually have a question from one of our viewers, Matthew, who wants to know who of our player of the season been so far.
Yeah, I'm not going to shock the world here. I think Ali knows the answer. It's going to be really biased. Courtney Brosnan.
So why do you think Courtney?
I just feel like one of my main worries going into the season was our goalkeeping position. And I feel like not only to cement your place as the first choice goalkeeper, but also to be Anna, who I thought really did well last year, to do that in such a short amount of time. And also, I think Courtney, it's sort of a bit like Fabianski in a way of if our defence has been making these sort of mistakes, Courtney does cover that up really well.
Yeah,
And
no,
I think she's improved the team as well as maybe Martha with a close shout, because you can just notice the difference in quality with this year's team, and I think Courtney is one of the main reasons for that.
Okay, I'm going to go with someone who we brought in last year, in the fact that I think Leon has been our player so far of the season. She has been in and out of space. She's got us some crucial goals. Case in point, comes into Chelsea 25 seconds later, she scored. She's found her place, which she didn't have last season because she was blighted with an injury she already had, and then was just getting settled into a new team. But she seems to have got how the British play the sport, and she's just coming on leaps and bounds. And like I said, we've got to start her against Man City because she's going to give us our best shot.
Talking about the team overall, this season, obviously we're slightly approaching the second stages of the first half of the season. How would you review our overall start in terms of cup competitions and the league?
The thing is, we've played well against teams and not come away with the points that we deserve. For example, against the Chelsea game, we could have pulled that back to 2-2 and got a point out of it. And then we've been really scrappy against certain teams and come away with the result. Case in point, the Birmingham game. Birmingham game wasn't pretty, but we came away with the 3 points. We are definitely gelling quicker as a team than we did last year. I think it does help that we still have that core group that did play together. But and then brought in some fantastic additions. We need to pick up on our home form. There's no getting away from that. We need to work out what's going wrong there and pick that up quickly. But I still can't see that any reason why we can't finish higher than we did last season. I think we're going to be in the top half rather than the bottom half. I don't see us fighting for relegation. I think that's going to be a Birmingham-Liverpool job. It is.
I always love for Liverpool because I just remember when I think it was the first time we met in personally, and I was like really hammering home how fed up I was about their women's podcast saying we'd be struggling, and it's actually gone the other way around.
Yeah, I remember that one. The Red Wing. But I think we're on course, but we need to pick up the pace a bit quicker. We can't leave it till after Christmas.
Obviously, it is a bit early to mention this, but going into January, would there be maybe any positions you'd be looking to strengthen?
I would want another midfielder and another striker.
What, even after the signing of Little John?
Little John's great, but the thing is, I think we could play 2 up front, and Alicia's unpredictable at the moment. Martha has got that slight niggle. Yes, we've got Little John, but I just want another one that we can play up front. And then also midfield, we've got Midag and we've got Dali. Cho can be very on and off. So again, I'd want another player that we could bring on. It's all about, as you said, bringing some top quality off the bench when we need to keep us going at it 90 minutes, not great for 60 minutes and then dying 30 minutes.
See, now, I think with Lehmann's form, it's been a big debate, really, actually, over the last 2 weeks for us West Ham women fans. What I would really like to see is if Lehmann doesn't do well, I think her name's Kizix. She really showed in that Tottenham games how good she actually is. And I really would like to see her start if Lehmann does have that poor run of form, because I really think she could cement a place in the team. I think she's that good, Ali.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which is another thing. Maybe we don't need to buy. Maybe we just need to build on the talent that we've already got. Neil is asking us how Jacinta is doing. Neil is a fellow Aussie, so of course he's got a vested interest in his player. Apart from the fact the Reading name announcer absolutely garbled her surname, when she came off. Seriously, Guy did not practice that before she got subbed. She's been actually really fantastic for us. She's a player that is very aggressive in a good way. She's pacey. She's up front when you need to be. She runs back to defend the ball when you need her to be. She's been absolutely fantastic for us.
I agree with you there, Ali. And another thing to mention about Jacinta Galabarachi, I nearly stuttered there, is I feel like she's a bit like Right Start as well last year, where she's so good that she does go unnoticed because she does everything so right that it's just natural to her. And I think she's got a really bright future in this league as well. I could see maybe in the future her progressing and maybe going to one of the top teams, but hopefully not too soon.
Don't get rid of her. She's only just come and she's great for us.
That's why I said hopefully not too soon, Ali.
So that's all about time that we have. But just a quick plug, because our good friend, the Mississippi Hammer, has made a point about the fact that we do have a fantastic logo that was designed for us by Alex of the American Hammers. And if you love our logo as much as we love our logo, you can buy it with a t-shirt on, or in a hoodie, or any other apparel that you can think of. The link is in my Twitter, but I will retweet it for you guys. But it is in the American Hammers shop. Remember, Christmas is coming up, Thanksgiving is coming up for you guys, and they would make fantastic presents. I know my mother already wants one.
More importantly, me and you want one as well.
Absolutely. I got paid, so I can finally get myself one.
Yeah, I'll be buying myself one next week when I get paid.
Absolutely. So that's us done for this week. We won't be back next week because it is international break and you do not want 40 minutes of me ranting about Philip Neville. So we will be back the week after when we'll dissect the Man City game and also looking ahead. So it's good night from me.
And good night from me.
Good night.